Hello and welcome to another Clare Echo video special. This time as Clare's intermediate ladies footballers prepare for an All-Ireland semi-final with Meath. We're delighted to be joined by Áine Kelly, an All-Ireland winner with Clare in 2009, and Bernie Regan, a native of Crossmolina, but who has spent over a decade on the executive of the Clare Ladies Football Board up until last year. Áine and Bernie, thanks very much for joining us.
No problem.
And obviously,
Party.
there's further reading before or after you can listen to this with special in the Clare Echo speaking to Emer O'Connor, Ellie O'Gorman and collector Enda O'Halloran. But we'll just we'll get straight down to the nitty gritty and the looking ahead to the game. But Ger Keane would have said that the win over Sligo and the way it transpired, it was one of the most dramatic events that he's been involved in football, and Enda O'Halloran has echoed that, but it has resulted in Clare being in the last four. But Áine, start with yourself. What have you made of Clare's championship displays so far in 2020?
Yeah, I suppose it was kind of going into the unknown. They had admit themselves a poor league. Really, they were second from the bottom, and I suppose they worked very hard in lockdown. I will say that. I know our own club for Clare O'Malley, and they put in a serious couple of months training on their own. And when the divvies up, they were meeting up in small groups. I think they would have prepared very well for it. So that opening game against Kildare might be a bit disappointing. I suppose he not featuring in the first half might have thrown a few of the girls, and just the uncertainty around that, having the two games in one weekend. So they would have been very disappointed with the Kildare. They were on top for the first half and they probably didn't score enough. But they're then great recovery against Meath, and I suppose they were expected to beat Sligo, I suppose, going on their other results. But I suppose after the Kildare game, they really went for it. It wasn't in their hands, other than they had to get 2 wins, and you could see a real intent, a change maybe in the format they lined up against Meath and Sligo, where they really went for it. They had a sweeper, Ciara Hickey did very well, I suppose, in sweeper role, and they tend to drop out a couple of players around the middle, and that probably didn't go as well against Kildare. But you saw a change then with Meath and Sligo. A few different personnel came in. They had a lot of changes in the Sligo game, and they really pressed forward and pushed up. And you saw it in the scoreline, like that was the telling of it. But there was a big change after the Kildare game, and I'm sure they'll carry that into Saturday as well.
And Áine, mentioning that Kildare game, to stick with you for a second, like effectively it kind of was a winner take all game, but they still managed to, despite losing that, not suffer a championship elimination in the group stages. But do you think it has almost served them well that they got their mistakes, those few moments, they didn't cost them, but they learned from it at the same time, and they've been nearly effectively used to every game being knockout since then?
Yeah, stepping up against Kildare, I know I was there the last 2 years, with Martin Mack in the background. They would have had a game plan rolled out for Kildare. They would have been fierce disappointed. They conceded 2 very soft goals. But I think it was a huge, huge response in that they had a week to prepare, and they came out all guns blazing, more forwards, more intent, more players pushed up. And in a week to do that was really good. That was the best thing I saw about it. I was still disappointed after each game because I really didn't see Kildare being beaten. So I suppose while they scored 5-7 or whatever against Leash and they beat them, I was so disappointed they hadn't played like that the first day, that real intent. They had their game plan laid out and they went with it. But it's great that it's turned around, for the girls. And I read it in the Champion or whatever today, Evan Talty was saying the girls really drove it on the week after their game themselves. So they initiated it, which I know for the last 2 years, it is a very player-driven environment. But that's the testament of them, that after the Kildare game, they completely changed the way they were playing. They pushed up, and he was back in. There's a huge spread of scores, and that is the testament. That might stand to them, that determination and commitment they have, that they didn't just go out and give up all hope after that Kildare game. So I'd be really impressed by that.
Bernie, to turn to yourself, what has your opinions been so far on Clare's campaign in the TG4 All-Ireland Intermediate Ladies Football Championship?
Now, if you go back to the league, as Áine said there, I'm sure every one of them would have been very disappointed, particularly the game against Meath and Drumbeg. They really should have pulled off a win there. But sometimes, you know, a turn of a ball, this player slips, you know, that can actually just put you in a position that you don't have enough time to come back. And I think that really would have focused them this week in particular, since they know that they are up there with Meath. The only concern I'd have is that, like, Meath have played some very, very good football back in the league, but with the way the year has gone, if you look at it now, I mean, it might well have been 10 years ago, because the only team I would actually kind of pick out of that they played and they played well against and they had a good score up against was Armagh. Armagh are a Division 1 team, and, you know, to be putting up scores against, and I watched Armagh and Mayo play the last day, and yeah, I'm sure the management have looked at that and they've picked out where they need to, you know, put in the pressure that day on it. Because if they kind of let Meath ahead, you know, Meath have been there, this is their third year in a row going for the intermediate title, and they haven't actually scored big high scores in any game. In fact, they have, you know, scored about 112, 114 in each of the finals, like beaten very by margins. So Clare really, you know, the game against Kildare, I expected them definitely to win that, but, you know, a small little margins, and that didn't. But I mean, going out, and it's great for the confidence that they actually had to play Sligo. Now, Sligo are a Division 3 team, Clare's a Division 2 team. You'd expect them to put up that big score. But if you go back again then and you look at Meath played Leitrim. Leitrim is a Division 3 team. They put up a massive score. Was either team challenged? Probably not. But the main thing that Clare will have to take out of it is they actually scored, and scored well. Goals win games. I know a point can, as we know from experience in Clare, you can lose All Irelands by a point. But big scores, and I think this year the advantage of having the likes of Chloe Maloney back, very strong player, has international, you know, under her belts, and that type of confidence when you're in front of goal is priceless going into a game like this. So I think Clare will definitely be going in very confident into this.
Going in confident, Bernie, but with Meath, obviously, as you said, having contested the finals in 2018, 2019, speaking to management, it's Aoibhinn Cleary, Vicky Wall and Emma Duggan are the three players they've identified. But going in confident, but do Meath go in as the favourites, or do Clare go in as the favourites, Bernie, do you think?
I think Meath will actually go in at favourites, because it will actually suit Clare that Meath will go in. Clare have nothing to lose here. Absolutely nothing. They had a poor enough campaign in the league, and every game and every step forward now is a bonus. But there's no reason that Clare cannot go out on Saturday afternoon and, you know, tip it in their direction for an All-Ireland final. And I think this year they have had a fantastic range of players. A lot of them are young. There's very few of them that have, you know, gone in there with baggage of any sort. So they have nothing to lose. And I would be very confident that Clare can, because we have a very strong full forward line, excellent full forward line. We're actually strong down the middle as well. And you're looking at players that have experience of being there, like Roisin Considine, you know, Ellie O'Gorman, you know, they know that when it comes down to it, how to push for that very last minute, you know, to make sure that they're over the line.
And Áine, just to turn to yourself, like as Bernie said, the introduction of Chloe Maloney has been a big plus this year, in terms of adding more of an attacking threat to Clare, and that they're not maybe solely reliant on Niamh O'Dea. But are there any other changes in particular to Clare's style of play that you've been particularly impressed with?
Yeah, I suppose if you look back, I was thinking about it, if you look back to the Meath game that we lost in 2018, the quarter-final, we went up to that game very confident, and we really only had one plan. And Meath had that plan really curtailed early in the game, and we were struggling to get scores outside of Niamh O'Dea. I think she scored 1-8 out of 110 that day that we scored. And I suppose what I saw in the Laois game was a similar style, or the Kildare game was a similar style to that, where we drop a player to midfield, we drop a sweeper, and we have 4 forwards, and they're interchanging and whatnot. But then against Kildare, what I admired more, or against Laois the second day, we were able to change that tactic. So there has been more work done. It's like we've advanced on another step. We played with nearly 5 and 6 forwards at a time, and Chloe Maloney is a huge addition to that, in that now there's another focus. And I will say that Brian Owen is playing really well since coming back from the club. She's racked up with a 2, 8 or 9 over the 3 games. She only played the first half the first day, but she seems to be back, and she's really coming on. So you've more of a target up front, and definitely that change where we can go from, if Meath would be, which, you know, she is their Meath main target, so she will have to be marked, and Meath tend to crowd it out and then break. That's why we see their wing backs there, Megan Pine and Emma Duggan, they have racked up with this 1, 9 or 10 between them, and they're coming from the half back line. So that's, you can see automatically where Meath come from. So they crowd out the back and they break with intent. But now we have another target in Chloe, so it's great. She played out around centre forward for some of those games, and she moves around, and she's strong and great finisher. Like, so definitely 15 anybody, and she has big scores racked up too in her 2 games that she played fully for us. Hopefully Meath's knee will hold up. It's heavily strapped. You know, we do rely on her. She's a serious talent, and we do need that knee to hold up on Saturday.
Definitely.
But in saying that, we can't dismiss the other girls around her either. It takes the whole lot, and definitely we've had a better spread of scores. We'd only 2 scores that day back in 2018. Delma got a couple of points, and Meath got the rest. So I'd expect definitely 5 or 6 scores coming through. And I'd say Emer O'Connor is playing really well this year as well. She'll be out around the middle of the field. Laura Regan has come back in, and she's there. Orla Devitt, who featured on and off the last couple of years with injuries, has really settled into centre back. I like that. She's a big game player. The other side of it is we were able to make 5 and 6 changes against Sligo when we needed a 20-point difference, and all those 6 or 7 slotted in. So that's another adjustment coming on from 2 years. So it's been building. We had one style back in 2018. We've built on it with a few players at it. With Ciara Hickey in there, Amy Sexton got 3 goals the last day. We've more of an option up front, and we've, probably a stronger 15 with 5 subs to come on, which is huge. We haven't always had that.
Yeah.
So definitely there'll be a spread. Rod's playing really well at wing back. With regards to Meath and how they'll set up, I suppose we have to, their half back line is where it comes from. Vicky Wall falls deep. She always has. She attacks. She can finish. Their captain, well, I presume she's Captain Mara, shocking in the middle of the field as well. And Stacey Grimes, the centre forward. They have a big spine. So we'll have to watch. Their attack will be quick, and the transition is really good from them. They have the experience of 2 All-Ireland finals. And while they were beaten convincingly against Tyrone, it was a small bit of a comeback against Tip, but they were never going to beat them. It never looked like it. So they pretty much have the spine of that team. Their goalie is an all-star. And we'll have to be ready for that. Against Kildare, if we think about it, when it was there, like a point or 2 in it, we didn't have someone stand up and grab the game. If it's like that on Saturday, I'd be hoping that those leaders that I've said, and the Orla Devitt coming back and she's signed it, Grania to sign it, but then I'll be in there and has come on every year since she's come in, all around Eve and Chloe. I'm sure there's going to be a leader there, Elliot full back. We just need someone to grab that game if it is in, a point or 2 in it in the second half. That's where we haven't been tested. We didn't do that against Kildare. That'll be a big ask on Saturday. It will be a tight game, but we definitely have the team to win it, and it's a great chance. When these chances don't come around every year, you have to grab them.
Of course. Bernie, to turn to yourself, like one of the points Áine made, and it was also referenced by Ellie O'Gorman, is just the strength of the panel. Like we saw the changes that were made the last day, and the team didn't drop in any way. Like there's plenty of options for James Murray and his management team. But do you think that's something new to the squad this year, is the strength and depth and the options at their disposal?
Yeah, apart from, I'd say, 2 or 3 players, and like they're on, we'll say, international duty damn near at this stage, I think he has the best pick of players in the county, particularly with the introduction of Chloe Maloney. Like, she's a seriously strong player. She's a great footballer. She has strength. She has height. She can catch a ball. She knows where the goal is for sure. And like, she has confidence. She's great. She's very confident in front of goal. But also in that, because Meath have their all-star keeper in there, and she didn't knock Dublin and Galway out of the all-star spot last year, you know, by accident. Like, she, for an intermediate keeper to knock a senior keeper out of that award at the end of the year, you know, Clare need to be able to take the points as well. You know, like if Clare can't threaten the goal that often, they have good, you know, point takers out the pitch. You have Grania Nolan there that can score. You have Roisin Looney that you know, any one of them that's coming in, they're all well able to score. And it's vital that they take, you know, that they don't mess around in front of the goal with the ball, you know, thinking goals are easy options here. Points, and 1 point will win it. It will be down to the wire. It's going to be a very tight game, but I would actually be very confident that Clare can actually, you know, have the actual confidence in themselves going into the game, which I think is going to be vital at this stage. That you come off that pitch, and if you're 100% happy with the way you have performed in that pitch, I think Clare will be into an All-Ireland final.
Áine, obviously you were on the panel yourself last year, and you know you have been there in recent years before that as well. But you think, what has James Murray brought to Clare Ladies football, do you think?
I suppose Bernie, for the first thing, he has all the players that are there available to him playing. That's huge. There's been years when that hasn't, like, for personal reasons, some players are in and out, and that's fine. But I think they have really, I suppose, maybe a part to do with COVID as well. Everybody's around, but he has all the players that are available playing. He's hugely organised. He puts in an awful lot of work behind the scenes. Plus, he brings in people around him that are able to do the job. So you have Jerkeen, you have Marty Mack, you have Evan, you have Shane Lorgan doing camera and staff and everything. He has a team around him. That's huge. You can't do it on your own. The girls are very well looked after. Like, it is really, really good setup. I have no doubt going in the last 2 years that they will know exactly where the Meath goalie, Monica McGurk, where she kicks every kick out. They will know who she targets. They will know that Emma Duggan and Megan Time in the wing backs, he will have analysed Meath to the last. But in saying that, another difference I see is we'll also have more confidence in what we're bringing in our game plan. But that's definitely, like, James leaves no stone unturned, and he has good people in around him doing the training. And you know, it's a really good place to be. Like, it was very enjoyable over the last 2 years that I was in, because the setup is really good. Marty Mack, he wasn't there last year, he was there previous year. He's a super trainer. He's excellent. The girls will be well drilled. They know exactly what's happening. They know when to attack. They know where the ball is going. And I suppose we would have been overly reliant on Meath going forward, whereas now they would have been able to work on other options. And the fact she didn't play for the first half until there, the girls had to try and figure that out for themselves as well. And I feel that they have. You know, they've definitely come on in the 3 years with James, and I think he has the strongest panel this year for sure. But again, the one I'm very confident, if we're there or thereabouts, you know, we will be. But the one concern I have, and it goes back to their game, when it was there for the taking, we didn't take it. So that's a huge lesson that I'm sure, you know, the game was a point or two in it, and we just didn't grab it. Whereas I think we will have to do that against Meath, and they'd have to stand up. But I'd be very confident that the girls are ready, and I've no doubt. You can't get Cleva Harvey as well in the middle of the field. She's a Trojan worker, and Emer O'Connor with her. Laura Egan's in there as well. I've no doubt that they will give it everything they have on Saturday.
Bernie, on the management side of things, you'd obviously have worked closely with a lot of them during your time on the board, but one in particular that you have a good bit of knowledge about is Jerkeen, through his involvement with St. Cayman's in Shannon. What do you think he's brought to the setup?
Yeah, I know Ger, I'd say going back maybe 15, 20 years now since came in school, and you know, he's a very astute person when it comes to football. He knows his football, he's been there, he has done that, he's played it himself. His actual reading of the game is something that I think we will see a lot more of when it comes down to making switches on the pitch. Particularly the next game, you know, it can be difficult enough to switch players on when we'll say the likes of the Sligo game, you know, they were totally in control. Anyone could have moved anywhere and they could have, you know, fill that position. But I think Ger, you know, he's a great coach. He has coached Cayman's girls into he has made actually good players out of very average girls that started out in Cayman's, and I spent many's the game on the line with Ger, and I would highly rate Ger Keane as a great coach, a man that knows his football, and I think he will get the absolute maximum out of every one of them, because I know from being on the sideline with Ger over the years that players actually listen to him. And I think it's very important when you have a coach that players listen to. You can see it on the pitch. And when you can see it on the pitch, you know that you're actually going in the right direction then. But yeah, I think, and I said it last year when I was told that Ger was going to be involved, I was absolutely thrilled, delighted, because I think he's fantastic for ladies football in Clare. So I have no doubt that that Ger will have their heads right, along with the, you know, what they have to do on the pitch. I think Ger Keane will pull it off, and I will be so delighted for him, because he has absolutely given so much to ladies football over the years in Clare, you know, and he's not just alone Cayman's. I mean, he's been involved with underage teams in Clare. But yeah, he's a good coach. I would have no fear that Ger Keane doesn't know what he's doing out there on the day. He'll give it. But like as Áine said, we really need, if it comes, and it probably will come down to, you know, at some stage that players will have to stand up, because it would be such a shame to come off the pitch and think, well, maybe we should have done this on the pitch, or I should have gone in. The dirty ball will have to be picked up. And like we have the best players in the county now at this stage on that panel. So, and I know some of them are very young and, you know, inexperienced and that, but I think, you know, 2 or 3 games, even though they didn't do awfully well in the league, they were there, they were playing, and they will have brought that experience with them to the game now on Saturday. So yeah, I'd have no doubt that Ger will get the very best out of them on Saturday.
And I can hear the confidence from both yourself, Bernie, and Áine. But Áine, if I was to make a call it and give your match verdict, what way do you think it's going to go?
Well, you have to, I don't want to like disrespect my former teammates now, but like if you're looking at it, like Meath have lost 2 All-Ireland. I remember back in 08, we didn't be All Ireland, we were never going to lose it. That was the mentality across the team. You would imagine Meath will come like that. And that's a very difficult mindset to overturn. But if we go out and play to our full potential, we will beat Meath. That's 2 sides, that's 2 answers. But I know the mentality of having lost in All-Ireland, not in mine too. That's a difficult thing to break. It depends how they seem to have a lot of those teams still playing. But I'm going to say Clare. I'm going to give them the nod.
Good stuff. Bernie, what way do you see it going?
Well, I suppose anyone that knows me, it doesn't matter what game I go into, I always go in 100% that we can win the game.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who they're playing. It doesn't matter who the opposition is. If every player has the focus on the day that this challenge is not surmountable, they will win it. And I will say again that, you know, going in against a team that has lost 2 in a row and their aim is to get up into senior football, it will be tough. There's no doubt about it, but I really think that them girls are up for that challenge. They are seriously good individual footballers, but on Saturday they have to come together as a team. And if they do, I really think there's only going to be a point or 2 in it. I will be shocked if there's more than that on either side. But I do think Clare will just get over the line there.
I think there as well that Chloe Maloney could be the missing key there. If we just go back to the Tips game last year where we lost by a point. We were down the dressing room that day. We were in at half time, and it was only at half time that the girls realised, because Tip were overwhelming favourites, God, we could win this match. We could actually, with half time, we sat down in the dressing room, we were talking about what was going on before the management came in. And there was an excitement in the dressing room that day at half time, because it was only then we realised we're competing here. It was a level at half time, I think, going in, or were we a point down maybe? Now we ended up losing it. I think we got a goal at the very end, maybe it was 4 points. It was a point in it up to then anyway. And but I think that, I'd forgotten about that lesson of going in at half time, no, now we're good enough, it's too late. I think they would have learned that. So that's another plus for us going in against Meath. We were written off against Tip because they were going to walk the All-Ireland last year. Now they ended up winning it, but we were very close to beating them that day down in Limerick. And that was one of our best performances. I think that would have been quoted this week in the Clare dressing room about, we didn't fully believe going into the game, but at half time we were surprised we were in it. So I think that's a huge lesson they'll have to carry into Saturday as well, and really believe that they have a great chance.
Definitely, and has the makings of a fantastic game, and you'd even be getting more excited about the game listening to yourself, Áine and Bernie.
You're always positive.
So thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. And Saturday, like I've looked at the weather, and the day is actually going to be good. So you will have to say that the pitch in Portleash will be in tip-top shape.
Yeah,
just a pity now we won't be there.
Yeah, I really think that, and because we have young, and some of them are very light, they're not big, strong, physical girls, that a fine day, dry pitch will really suit them.
Here's hoping. Many thanks to Áine Kelly and Bernie Regan for joining us on a special video preview for Clare's All-Ireland semi-final against Meath on Saturday. That game can be viewed live on Ladies Football official Facebook page, and we'll also have a match report straight away or as soon as possible on clareecho.ie, and we'll also look back on the game on Monday. But if you can't wait till then, there's more reading with interviews with Ellie O'Gorman, Emer O'Connor and Enda O'Halloran in Thursday's Clare Echo that's available for free all around the county. So again, many thanks to Áine and Bernie, and make sure to watch that game. It has the makings of a cracker. So thanks very much for joining us.